Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the December 8th, 2025 Board of Selectmen meeting, the first of the new term. It's on a Monday at 4 o'clock, which is, I think, a first. But I appreciate my colleagues for moving this over. Tomorrow's a hectic day, so I'm not going to be here in the morning. As always, we will stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay. First item of business, the approval of minutes. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of November 25th, 2025?
Lauren Raven, so moved.
Fred Camillo, I second. All those in favor? Fred Camillo's a yes.
Lauren Raven, a yes.
Rachel Khan, I'm going to abstain since I wasn't here.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of the special meeting of November 25th, 2025?
Lauren Raven, so moved.
Fred Camillo, I second. All those in favor? Fred Camillo's a yes.
Lauren Raven, yes.
Rachel Khan abstains.
Okay, thank you. Going on to the updates, the first Selectmen's updates. Again, I want to thank everyone who helped us for the swearing in last Monday, especially Parks and Recreation, Dan and Joe, and Andrew Karen and his team did a great job. The police department, the fire department, DPW, all of the people who participated in it, the vendors, Karen's Koskaber, Sebastian Dossman, who did the uplighting, and everyone else there. So thank you very much for that. It was a really nice event to showcase one of our newest buildings. Also, thank you to basically the same people for the tree lighting. That went really, really well, as always. And that's, now we'll just hit a few events. This is not a very long list of updates, which is good, so it won't last too long today. But we do have a Chamber of Commerce holiday party on the 9th, which is at 6 o'clock. We have the menorah lighting for Greenwich Avenue, which is next Sunday. So that is the 7th annual, so we're looking forward to that. And last night we did the 2nd annual menorah lighting for Eastern Greenwich with Rabbi Baruch. That was fun. It was nice that the menorah was a little bit lower than the other ones. I didn't have to go up in that thing. And apparently there's been arrangements made for next week too, so I won't have to go too high. But it was a very nice ceremony. We have a communion breakfast for the Commission on Aging at 9 o'clock on the 19th. Later that day, the Greenwich Communities holiday party at 6 o'clock. Greenwich Communities, formerly Greenwich Housing Authority. On the 20th, we were invited to the Greenwich Police Department's retirement party, as always, 6 o'clock over at Zodi's. It'd be good to see Mike and everybody over there. And our next meeting is the 23rd. And then looking ahead, we have some neighborhood meetings, throughout the year being scheduled, so I'll let people know. Usually I do those with the Greenwich Police Department and sometimes with DPW. So be on the lookout for those notices. We're also going to looking at increasing the focus on the police recruitment, as we've been doing lately, with the volunteer firemen with new videos that should be coming out shortly. So hoping that can attract more people. For those who don't know, the police department usually used to get lots of people at these at the interviews and for the tests, and that's really gone way down. And I think some of that could be attributed to the environment in the country, as well as some of the legislation that's been passed in Hartford. So, among other things. So we're hopefully this video will help with that a little bit, and as well as the Greenwich Fire Department put out a really nice video. They made it. It hasn't been out yet, for volunteer recruitment. So hopefully both of those will bear fruit and get some more people applying for both positions. And lastly, we have going forward in the next few months, you're going to see more of the Greenwich 250 Commission America 250 Greenwich Commission, I should say. Lots of events. If you're out there and you're an individual or one of the organizations, several have reached out to me who want to have some type of an event, just check with us and the co-chairs, Cynthia Chang and Tom Galvin, who are working overtime to really put on a really nice year-long series of events culminating on July 4th, 2026. And also with the big ship that's coming into Greenwich Harbor sometime in late June. So be on the lookout for that. And as always, we are in finishing mode of the, finishing touches on the budget coming up. So I'll be presenting that later in January. And the last item is we're experiencing a little bit of cold there. So if you're outside and you need to warm up, there's the Margonaut Atrium. It's a heating center there, right where the public safety complex is. The police department, fire department, when you walk into the police end of it, in there you can go at any time, 24/7. So be careful out there and keep warm. And if you have a neighbor that's elderly and alone, please keep an eye out for them. With that, I'll turn it over to Lauren.
Thanks, Fred, and our first new meeting, so welcome, Rachel. And we were trying to get some of the logistics because we're so used to our patterns, but we'll get used to new patterns. What I had to update, excited, we're going to have some new liaison assignments. So I attended my first as a tri-chair, the Sustainability Committee last week. So that was rewarding just to learn what role I can play and understand some of the things that the team is focused on. One of the things that we might possibly be able to look into, Greenwich Forward, the funding mechanism, Fred, that we had for Reimagine Greenwich, because the members did ask about certain things that might be able to get put into next fiscal year's budget. So that might just be an opportunity to use a 501c3 to raise funds for sustainability or conservation related expenses. We do have some openings on our boards, commissions, and committees, mostly because of the election. So for example, Julian Curtis had 2 members, voting members on the Julian Curtis School Building Committee had 2 voting members that have now been elected to be Board of Education members. So we can't have 3 people wearing a Board of Education hat on the same committee. We're in a similar situation for Central Middle School with Joe Kelly being elected as a BET member. We can't have 2 people with BET hats. Sally Bednar was on our Affordable Housing Trust, so she has resigned because she also was elected to the BET. So we'll have some nominations for people that were either already on the building committee in a non-voting manner or they both were on non-voting manner. So I'll do that in the nomination section. But just wanted to communicate to the community that we do have an opening on the Affordable Housing Trust. If you are so interested, the application is on the website. You just go to the website and search, how do I volunteer? And it'll come up in the search.
Thank you, Lauren. Appreciate that. And now over to Rachel, and welcome. Your first meeting, your first updates.
Yes, thank you. It's an honor to have been elected to serve Greenwich, and I'm looking forward to working with both of you. As you mentioned, we've been getting into the spirit of the season with the tree lighting here at Town Hall in Byram and the menorah lighting in Old Greenwich. I just have a few updates. I am taking the training class for local traffic authorities. Every town or city in Connecticut has one person designated as a local traffic authority, and here in Greenwich, it's the Board of Selectmen. The LTA works with Connecticut Department of Transportation on traffic-related matters on state roads, and they're also responsible for many regulatory items on local roads. And this course provides us with the knowledge and skills to better serve in the role. So it's very interesting. There's a lot of information. And looking forward to my next class later this week. I attended the Julian Curtis Building Committee meeting, and they're making great progress toward their goals. Phase 1 and 2 are almost complete, The ADA compliant and secure front entrance is almost complete with a few outstanding items. The elevator's been installed, and there are remaining finishes underway with electrical and wall being completed and expected, and inspections expected soon. And bids are now due for Phase 3, which is the cafeteria, on December 16th, and with a general contractor selected by late January for construction in summer. I also attended the Conservation Commission meeting. They highlighted 2 events. On Thursday, December 11th, the Merry, Bright, and Waste-Free Holiday Lecture. It's going to take place via Zoom. And The Comfort of Crows is the book that the Environmental Book Club is scheduled to discuss on Monday, January 26th at 7th at the Perrault Library. And the commission is also involved in the restoration of the Old Byram Cemetery and is getting grants from the state for neglected cemeteries and working on the Climate Action Plan Network. And I was just in an EMAC meeting, and they talked about the Hamilton Avenue HVAC renovation, which has been approved by the BT. It was approved by the RTM committees, and it's going in front of the RTM tonight. And looking at geothermal and solar at other schools that are next in line. So there's exciting things happening there. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Good information, hitting the ground running. All right, going on to old business, we have Kate Bush, our town administrator and COO here for the second read on the request for the approval of a lease renewal with the Riverhouse Adult Daycare Center.
Okay, as I said at the last meeting, this is pretty straightforward. The lease allows for the Greenwich Adult Daycare to ask for 2 10-year renewals, so this would be the first renewal. They simply had to put their request in writing to us at least 6 months in advance of the expiration of the lease, which they did. So this is our second read. You all had the lease attached to the packet, so I don't know if you have any questions.
Thank you. No, I do not. Does anyone else have any comments? Okay, no, thank you very much. We will.
Yeah, we didn't get any feedback from the community either.
It's a great asset for the town. So, thank you, Kate.
I should say negative feedback. So Lauren Raven, I move that we approve the lease renewal for the River House Adult Daycare.
Rachel Khan, I second the motion.
All those in favor? Fred Camillo's a yes.
Lauren Raven, yes.
Rachel Khan is a yes.
Okay, thank you. Next up, there's only 2 items on old business, and we have
I'm back,
Kate Bush again.
but Barbara's here today, too.
Yes, I know. She threw me off. I'm looking at
So the second piece is
a curveball.
to approve the contract with Barbara's firm as town attorney. It does represent an increase in rates. There has not been an increase in rates for over 4 years. I think the increase proposed is reasonable, and I suggest you approve it.
Thank you, and I just want to say that that was one of the, first things I did in the first few months in our new term, and it was one of the better choices. You guys have done a great job. You're always there to answer, sometimes under difficult circumstances, and lots of things flying at you from all different directions, but I can honestly say in these 5 years, if I reach out to somebody, I know everyone else says the same thing, within minutes, there's an answer or there's a response that someone will get the answer, and that's very much appreciated, so thank you, Barbara.
I had a couple questions on this, if you don't mind. I'm new, so I'm sorry.
No problem.
I just wanted to find out first why we're going through the renewal of the agreement now. Was there an end to the, and I guess maybe my first question is the prior contract. I know it was brought up in the last meeting. Would it be possible to get a copy of that?
Yeah, I mean,
Talking about the
there
prior
should
contract
be.
with the prior firm?
No, with,
No.
Yeah.
yeah. Because, and was there an end date to that contract? No, okay, so why are we renewing now?
That was a firm decision.
Okay.
Again, because we hadn't asked in over 4.5 years. So, just basically, we periodically renew these agreements. There's no particular rhyme or reason to why it's at this point in time.
And then, so I guess if I could get a copy of the prior contract, I don't, who do I ask?
I do not have a copy of this.
Okay,
You would have one probably in the
yes.
office.
Yeah.
yeah. My other question was whether you have a document or a manual that outlines procedures to engage outside counsel, like what matters get referred out or stay within our town legal department. Is there,
So matters generally speaking, what gets referred to outside counsel are conflict matters and matters that the law department does not have the expertise to handle.
sorry, and is there a review process that goes through for the contract, every time the contract comes up for renewal, is there, or,
Well, I know when.
What
no,
contract are you referring to
the
now?
contract with your firm? And I guess that's,
So
I
the-
guess that's more a question for Kate.
It goes
Yeah.
really to the first selectman.
Right.
It says
Yeah.
that there's
And the
one
Board of
discretion.
Selectmen.
Okay,
And I reviewed
Ultimately.
it as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry?
I reviewed it as
Yeah,
well.
yes.
okay.
Did you have any questions?
No, I was just going to say, yeah, maybe it makes sense because we're, 3 new people, or not new people, but we're new for the next 2 years. Maybe that's why it's coming in front of us. But I also wanted to echo that you've been through some really complex situations and some really, not such pleasant situations for your firm. And then the folks that you have brought on, the team that you have brought on is just top notch. So
Thank you, I appreciate
I
that.
wanted to make sure that you knew that.
That was it for my questions, but I was just going to ask, is it possible to defer the vote until I see the contract, or?
It's a first read, so there's not.
The second reading.
Second read.
This is a second
Oh,
reading.
I mean, I can certainly let you know what the differences are. I went over them last time, but I'm happy to go over them again. So there is an increase in the rate for attorneys from $300 to $350 per hour, and for legal assistants and paralegals from $120 to $150 per hour. As I mentioned last time, this will not cause an increase in the budget for the coming fiscal year. And these rates are also below still a lot of what other outside counsel for the town are charging. In addition, if you look at the way the monthly retainer fee is calculated, that is the same as it was in the prior contract. That was something that was negotiated with the previous administrator. So in effect, what happens is, even though the hourly rate is $300, $350, whatever it is, for the retainer services, it actually comes out to less than that because of the discount that is on virtually every bill. In other words, when there's $15,000 or above for retainer, there's an automatic $2,500 discount. So that effectively lowers the hourly rate. That is all the same. Those calculations are the same. That has not changed from the prior contract. What has changed somewhat are the way the office hours are being handled, because what I found is that, in effect, we could be more efficient and not have to have as many in-person office hours and charging the town for that. However, I can tell you that almost every day, either I or someone else in my firm is doing some kind of Greenwich business by email or telephone, even if we're not here in person. Also, over the years, personnel in our office has changed, and so I've reflected that as well. So it's basically updating. It is an increase in fees, but it's also just updating the people who are generally working for the town. I'm the same, but, other attorneys in the office have changed.
Like land
And
use.
again, how office hours are handled. Those are really the primary changes.
Got it.
Everything else is the same.
Okay, I mean, I'd still like to see the prior contract, so I'd ask if we could defer the vote, but if not, then I
It's not
understand.
time sensitive.
No,
No,
that's-
we can, yeah, so we have 2 weeks, we'll do it in 2 weeks, we'll vote. So you
Oh,
have 2 weeks.
okay, okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Sorry, I had another question for Kate, I think. Oh, I think it goes to Quade. In terms of hiring an outside attorney, what's the performance review process?
That's handled by the law department. That's
Okay.
not my hire.
Okay,
Okay.
Yeah, excuse me, just to clarify, by charter, it's my responsibility as town attorney to determine when outside counsel needs to be hired and who should be hired. And I review, or I'm at least supposed to review, all retainer agreements for outside counsel, and, make a determination if they are in order, and then review invoices when they come in, also to see if those are in order and should be approved.
thank you, I appreciate that.
Thank you, Kate. Thank you, Barbara. Going on to new business, we have the presentation, annual presentation and discussion of the proposed Parks and Recreation fees for 2025. We have Dan Carlson here, and I think we have Joe.
Joe is on Zoom.
On Zoom, and we want to say, Joe, that we wish you a speedy recovery. I know you're making progress there, and we're certainly thinking of you here at Town Hall. But Dan's been doing a great job pinch hitting,
Been trying my best.
doing a great job.
Good evening, First Selectmen, Board of Selectmen. So just a quick little background for the 2026 fee change proposal. This is something that we do every year, as the First Selectman said. We review all of our fees for facility rentals, our programs and services on an annual basis, and then we submit the proposed fee schedule for Board of Selectmen review and approval. So the way we approach the fee change recommendations, we like to look at the cost of the program or service that we provide, taking a look at salary increases, minimum wage increases, cost of equipment, transportation costs, and facility upkeep costs, and try to identify what that is and adjust pricing accordingly. It's also based on our operational demands and programming demands, depending on what activities and things people like to see and like to partake in, as well as importantly, market comparisons. So we look at similar operations that occur in the private sector just to see, what pricing they have. But I think a more important comparison that we also look at is comparisons with other municipalities of similar size and scope of our operations to get an idea of where that market rate is. And, as a department, we do have a philosophy that we try to balance, these rising costs while still continuing to provide access to these high-quality services and programs. We keep the fee increases, incremental, try not to hit the same fee year over year over year, or try to do a gigantic increase all at once, because we do want to continue to keep access for all of our residents. That's important for us, is to keep that equity aspect involved and make sure that everybody has an opportunity to participate, especially in youth programs, especially. And so with this, this is our first read, and we want to give, members of the community and the Board of Selectmen the opportunity to chance and review and comment on the proposed fee schedule. This fee schedule was included in the Board of Selectmen published packet. We'll also be publishing it on the Parks and Recreation website, including an email that if anybody wants to review it, provide any feedback to the department, we'll certainly take that into consideration and bring that forward to the Board of Selectmen when we come for the second read. Also with the Board of Selectmen, if anybody would like to meet, or if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to staff. We'd be happy to do so and take our time. If there's questions on potential increases resources, any other input that you'd like to provide, we'd be happy to do so. And yeah, as I mentioned, this is the first read. We'll look to come back for approval on the second read at the December 23rd Board of Selectmen meeting. And happy to answer any questions at this time as well.
Thank you, Dan. Yeah, and looking over it, it's pretty normal. A lot of the fees you left untouched. And just for historical background, we've found over the last 6 years that sometimes fees haven't been raised in 5 or 6 years, but they do try to keep it at or below our neighboring communities. And the last couple of years really hasn't been any, I can't remember any complaints. So usually you will, but I mean, you know, some of these fees the increases are, not gigantic. I see several are $1, so, but I appreciate your, always considering the access part of this, the component of it where, the whole point is to get our community out there and no matter, what your background or ability to pay, that these programs and these facilities are open to all at a reasonable rate. So it's very, very much appreciated as one who took advantage of these when he was a kid, so appreciate
Thank you
it.
very much.
I have 2 questions. One was actually kind of like a personal one. The fee for the single pass vehicle for
Yes.
non-card holders. I was actually charged it with a rental car as a car holder. So is it also like, is it really non-card holders?
Well, so it's non-Greenwich registered vehicles is usually what the component is. That's the seasonal pass. Were you charged the seasonal?
No, the $40 entrance because I had a rental car for the day.
So
I'm
usually.
a card member.
Usually we try to work with people if they have those certain circumstances. So I would suggest to, reach out to the department maybe beforehand. We might be able to resolve that administratively.
You should probably make it clear too, because it's not clear. It just says $40 for a non-card member for the vehicle.
Yes, and just the only nuance with that is we do have some Greenwich residents with cards that do not have their vehicles registered in Greenwich, and we can't necessarily allow, because they should be registering their vehicle in Greenwich if they're living in Greenwich. So there's some circumstances where we would not be able to give them the free access with that car because they don't have it registered with the town, and it's, so there's just that third component. But I agree with you, we could make it a little
If
bit
you
more
have a
clear.
rental. If you're
No,
trying
thank you
to
for
put-
that
If you're
input.
trying to put like grandkids in a bigger car. And then the other thing was the Byram Park, where it looks like the difference, like prior year, it was a different fee with parking, and now there doesn't seem to be, it's on page.
Yes. So with that proposal, we did have a separate rate of parking and no parking rate. And what we found in practicality is a lot of people would select the no parking option because it was a cheaper option, and then utilize other parking within the park or in other areas, street and side parking. And so there really wasn't a need to have the parking charge option because there is difficulty enforcement of it. So we kind of settled on a average rate blended between the two, since we don't really have an option to enforce the parking, and people were just selecting the no parking option while still kind of
Got it.
getting
That makes
that
sense.
service as well.
Yeah,
So
that makes sense. Thank you.
Yeah, we have similar, at least a couple times a year, I'll get calls from people with situations similar to yours, and sometimes, if I know ahead of time, we can call ahead, and they do their best to accommodate.
Yeah, and since they have been parking anyways, we just thought, okay, they'll be charged that, they have that available, but at a considerable less rate than what we had first, so.
Okay, thanks. So we'll see what the community says, if anything, on this, and we'll certainly, all 3 of us will review it a little bit more, but it looks, so far, at a quick glance, it looks pretty good.
Great, thank you so much, have a great night.
Thanks, Dan. Appreciate you, too. Okay. The next up is a request from Chabad of Greenwich for a road closure at Greenwich Avenue and Arch Street for the previously mentioned December 14th menorah lighting. And Shara is here again. How are you?
Hi, everyone. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Did you miss me? So, so Chabad is, God willing, having our annual menorah lighting on Greenwich Avenue, on the corner of Arch Street and Greenwich Ave. on December 14th at 4:30 PM. And as usual, we're going to be having some music and dancing, and I don't know if you've ever been. I know that you're newer. I'm Shira. Nice to meet you. But we have like the fire truck dropping gelt parachutes, and everybody's welcome. And it's a lot of people are like guests that have come every year, and a lot of people are people that wander over from Greenwich Avenue to enjoy the festivities. So it's really
Fred loves the fire truck.
I know. It's a personal favorite of his. So we found that the event is a lot safer when we close Arch Street between Greenwich Avenue and Bowling Place, because that way, it's getting dark and nobody's walking in front of cars. And we've been doing a really great job of being able to keep everybody over on that side without people wandering off into the street. And Officer Smith and I had a good conversation last week about just making sure that nobody will be wandering into Greenwich Avenue at all. And it's been good these last 2 years that we've done this plan. So we're requesting to do the same thing. What ends up happening is that on the left side of Arch Street, which is the right side of Greenwich Avenue, the fire truck parks. We have a fire truck that parks right there. So it kind of also blocks off people from wandering into the street, which is very helpful. So our request is, in order to finish the permit process with Parks and Rec, to be able to get the okay to close the street over there for the event.
Thanks, Shira. And this one is time sensitive, and it's something we've done before, and it's been tested over time the last few years. So I have no problem waiving the second read on this.
Just to make sure, I mean, there's still permits that need to be achieved, including with DPW and a final confirmation from police. But once we grant the
Yes.
approval, they'll be able to go ahead
Right.
with those.
Yes.
So I have an email saying that they can do that once I get this. So, and fire is all set with permits and everything like that, so.
Awesome. All right, so Lauren Rabin, I motion that we approve the request for Chabad of Greenwich for road closure at Greenwich Avenue and Arch Street for the December 14th menorah lighting.
Thank you.
Rachel Khan, I second the motion.
All those in favor, Fred Camillo's a yes.
Lauren Rabin, yes.
Rachel Khan is a yes.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Shira.
I hope to see you all there.
See you on Sunday.
Thank you.
Bye. Okay, thank you. Going up now to item C, and our friend Andrew Malillo is here from the Historic District Commission for the request for a Historic District Commission that it be appointed as the study committee for the purpose of investigating and reviewing 352 North Street's designation as a local historic property.
Good
How you
afternoon,
doing, Andrew?
Mr. First Selectwomen. So yes, another one before you guys, 352 North Street. We're asking the Historic District Commission be appointed a study committee for this property. You might know this architect's other work in town, the Helmsley Estate is one of them, as well as the Waveney House in New Canaan, past master of Acacia Lodge in 1939. Anyway, it's a beautiful home. The owners are seeking a local historic property designation on it, and this is the beginning of the process, so.
And just for somebody watching that may not understand what a historic district designation does.
Yeah, so the local historic property designation is by state statute, and it is all defined out in 7-147, but essentially puts protections on the property that would allow for additional reviews to make sure that nothing inappropriate or in excess gets developed onto the property. It's a way of protecting it and recognizing its historical resource to the town and its contributions.
Right, so it's basically, just so somebody who may not be familiar with this, there's a review process, so someone just can't go there and demolish something or add something to or change the look of it.
That's right. Yep, it has to go through the typical agency review process in addition to the Historic District Commission, which would require a certificate of appropriateness to get that work approved. So one of the big myths, and I'll just say it here for the record, is that historic preservation means you can't develop, modernize, or enhance. You absolutely can. You just have to get the HDC to like it, that's all.
And that's not always a given, right?
Well, they're pretty
It's not
reasonable.
impossible.
It's not impossible.
It's
They're
not
pretty
impossible.
reasonable.
It's not unusual.
It's not the HDC of 2006. How about that? If you know your histories and HDCs well.
Yeah.
Thank you, Andrew.
All right,
Any
thank you.
questions or comments, Andrew?
None from me.
Okay, so we'll see you in a couple weeks.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Next up is my friend Nikki Negrea, who,
Nikki was supposed to join us by Zoom. She has not yet. I just sent her an email to remind her, so we can continue on.
let me skip over, we'll
Okay.
skip over that.
Yeah.
And I will actually send Nikki a note. Are you ready? Okay. So we'll come back to that. Yeah. So we'll go, the next one was a request for the approval of the proposed 2026 Board of Selectmen meeting calendar. And Ken is going to
Yes,
present that.
we are continuing with the, largely with the tradition of second and fourth Thursdays of the month. And we, as you can see, Mr. Camillo, they will be starting at 10:30 now, per your wishes. And just to note that the meeting, the first meeting of 2026 will be on Friday, the 9th, instead of Thursday, the 8th, just to accommodate the schedules of everyone. And on September 24th, that will be slated to be a 7 o'clock night meeting, just to make sure Lauren can go to her Kerma meeting, so. Otherwise, it's pretty self-explanatory. For the most part, we will be here in the meeting room. We have 3 instances in which we will be in the Cohen room without a Zoom available, twice in February to foster the new spirit of cooperation with the BET, and then once in October for the early voting, so.
Thank you. We should have tried that last term.
Yeah. Oh, if only it had been that simple.
So, just looking at it, and this is always subject to change, so.
Yeah.
I know like on the 26th of February, I may not be here that day. So as we get closer, we'll let you know. And if certainly
Sure.
if something comes up, just let us know. We'll work around your calendar.
We can certainly make changes. This is only the first read. We can
Yeah.
make changes at the 23rd and just before we even post it, so.
Right, but also, as, you know, we may not make any changes, but something may come up, say like in July, and something happens. So we'll just, we'll make sure we accommodate everyone.
Do we have to put an asterisk on the 24th or something? Because it doesn't indicate on my sheet anyway that it's a different time. unless
Oh,
I'm-
yeah, I'm sorry, I updated the sheet already, and I just forgot to give you your copy.
Oh,
But
okay.
that will be, when we do end up approving and posting it, it will be with the notation that it is at 7 o'clock. Thank you,
Okay.
Lauren.
Okay. All right, thanks. So we'll go over that, but usually what happens is sometimes we'll get we'll get a couple changes throughout the year, but not many. But thank you very much. Appreciate that. And going on now to back one, as Nikki just walked into the room. So this is a discussion of the pedestrian safety at the intersection of North Street and North Maple and, and Deerfield Drive. And Nikki Negrea is here. Yes. Even though I said your name,
But the button is pushed, so it's green.
it's green. It's green.
It is green. Okay, so I'm good to go. Okay, well, thank you for asking me to present to you some thoughts on pedestrian safety at the intersection of North Street and North Maple Avenue, particularly, that four-way intersection with Patterson and Maple Avenue. So I'll talk about that one first, and then I'll go on to the Deerfield Drive one. So I've been living in town for about 30 years, and at this particular intersection, my house is at the bottom of North Street. It's the White House on the corner with North Street and North Maple Avenue. I've lived there 20 years with my family, and I do a lot of walking in town, all over the place, particularly in town itself, from my house to the Y, to the library, Indian Harbor, Greenwich Avenue, and so forth. And specifically, I'd just like to mention that the traffic volume, as I'm sure you're aware, has increased a lot over the past 20 years. I can't speak for 30 because I've only been at this intersection for 20 years, but the volume is increasing substantially. The pedestrian safety overall, I would have to say that it's better than it used to be, because you've improved the crosswalks, you've improved the signage, and I think people are a little more aware that they have to slow down and watch for pedestrians at that intersection. However, there is a lot of congestion in the morning and in the afternoon at school drop-offs and at school pickups. And that congestion doesn't seem to be improving. It seems to be either the same or increasing. And I noticed particularly a couple of weeks ago, and that's when our first selectman asked me to present my thoughts, I almost got run over in the crosswalk at 4:30 in the afternoon. And I always look both ways. I always make sure that I have my eyes on the driver and I make sure that the driver sees me. And I was in the crosswalk, in the middle of the crosswalk at 4:30, looking at the driver, and the driver started to come forward towards me. And this appeared to be possibly a mother, I'm not sure, but it was definitely a woman in a very nice car, very alert, looking at me, telling me essentially with her hand motions that I was not going fast enough through the crosswalk. So what I'm finding is a lot of irritation sometimes by drivers at pedestrians trying to use the crosswalk legitimately and going at a normal pace. And even if I wasn't going at a normal pace, I could have been someone with a cane or a walker or a stroller who needed to go more slowly. There shouldn't be this impatience of drivers with pedestrians using the crosswalk, obviously. So I've noticed that maybe they're impatient because they've been waiting in line at the crosswalk, to get up to it. I don't know. But in any case, I'm just relaying that story to you because it's happening, and it's happening a little more frequently. I sense more impatience on the part of drivers. Another thing that I did want to mention is over the past 10 or 15 years particularly, the commercial truck traffic seems to have picked up a lot. And I'm not talking about local deliveries like a Stop and Shop or the local Fresh Direct or something, or landscaping trucks. That's kind of the same. Commercial vehicles, small box trucks, big box trucks, even some tractor trailers are coming down North Street. And up, I haven't noticed as much, but definitely down. And I don't think the tractor trailers should be on North Street for obvious reasons. I mean, it's a lot of wear and tear on our roads, and it's very dangerous, obviously. They can't make that corner safely. So I thought I'd mention all of these points. And one last point I'd like to mention is further up on North Street, as you're heading north on North Street towards Park Avenue, where it intersects with North Street on the right-hand side, there's no crosswalk there. There is one sign that gives an indication of a possibility of someone maybe crossing, but there's no crosswalk. So anyone who's walking their dog or has a bicycle and wants to go to the Y or cross onto Park, they have to really kind of inch out and hope that the cars slow down a little bit or that there's a big gap in the traffic. And of course, the cars are zooming down North Street as they head north, and they're zooming to the bottom of North Street as they head south, because there's a hill there, and people naturally tend to accelerate down the hill as they head south and accelerate after the stop sign as they head north. So it's a natural point of acceleration for the traffic coming from both directions. So it's particularly challenging for a pedestrian, or forget a parent with a child. I mean, I don't think anyone would probably ever dare try and cross there, but I think there should be a crosswalk in that area because there's still a lot of pedestrian traffic, and there's no way to cross at that intersection, which is still pretty far from where the stop sign is at the four-way corner.
Okay, thank you. And I just sent Jim Michael a note from DPW. He's coming down. I think we threw everybody a curveball because there usually is a representative here from the department that would listen to all this. So I'll fill him in, but he is coming down. But I can say that, normally, we've been getting a lot of these, and that's why I asked you to come here. Sir, I try to, explain to people that we will do whatever we can to make sure that it's as safe as possible in each of these neighborhoods and these traffics, these troubled spots. I wish it was as easy as saying, hey, we're going to put a crosswalk there tomorrow, or a stop sign, or a light. We have to go by state regulations, and they do have, the first thing is the DPW will do a traffic count. So I know they've done traffic counts there, and when Jim comes down, I'll ask him that. But sometimes they have to be updated. Sometimes they're done, at times when, maybe in the summertime, when there's not as much traffic, and it's really not valid for, say in November, when you have school, a lot of the school vehicles. So we've had to reduce some of them, and they're very good about that. But that's why we always try to have somebody here to listen to all that. So hopefully when he comes to the door, I'll fill him in anyway on this. But we'll see what the counts say. I know what you're saying is true because I'm on that road all the time, like everybody else here is. And it has picked up a lot. Traffic, I always give these statistics out, it's 2025, almost 2026, and we have probably on record about 64,500 people. There's probably more because not everybody answers the census, and there could be 70,000 people. But there was only on record 59,000 people in 1969. So what's the difference is it was 14,000 registered cars there.
Now there's over 50,000.
Now there's about 52,000, plus there's more businesses here. So it feels like there's 400,000 people here. So we were saying, Jim, how Nikki lives on the corner house in North Street and North Maple and Patterson. And we were talking about the traffic picking up and people almost gotten hit, and the increase in traffic and trucks and all that. And one of the things Nikki asked about is, putting a crosswalk at some place. And I was saying how we do traffic counts, we just can't put them up first. Do we have any more recent traffic counts around this time of the year for that North Street intersection where it's North Maple, North Street, and Patterson?
I'd have to take a look.
Okay.
I mean, we just did, we're in the process of doing improvements.
Yeah, right down the road.
Jim, if you could speak into the microphone, please, just so that.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, at the intersection of North Street and North Maple, we just redid the sidewalk on the one side of North Maple as it comes up to North Street. And we're in the process of finishing the crosswalk and walking path across North Street at that location.
Would that be the same one area that you're talking about?
So the new curbing at the very bottom of North Street on the right side as you're pointing south, looking at Patterson and Maple and North Maple, that's in the process of being built. And are you building a crosswalk across the very bottom of North Street?
Yes.
Okay, so that is in process, but the actual spot that
How's that for quick work?
It's very impressive, it's seconds, literally. The crosswalk that I'm suggesting for consideration at some point in the future would be at the intersection of Park Avenue, further heading north on North Street. It's not even a quarter mile, it's, 500, 600, 700 feet, something like that. And that, there's a sign there, but there's no crosswalk, there's no striping or anything like that. And it's a wide section of the road.
It's the first right when you come.
Yeah, I get. Yeah, I mean, I think that's something we could look at. I think we'd have to check sight lines to make sure there's adequate sight lines for people to cross there. In addition, we typically look to place crosswalks in locations where there's sidewalk on both, like on the leaving and the receiving side of the roadway. So I don't believe there's sidewalk on Park Avenue, but I could be.
No, there's not. I did
incorrect.
doors there. It was, no sidewalk,
So
not that section, not that
that's-
part.
that,
Correct.
that could be a,
Yeah, and there's none on North Street on the other side of the street also.
right.
No
So,
sidewalks.
yeah, so that's part of the concern of putting a crosswalk there is we look for it where there's already existing sidewalks so that, because there's an expectation, if there's a sidewalk there, there's an expectation that there may be crosswalks at intersections. If there's no sidewalk, drivers don't necessarily expect a crosswalk to be located in the area. So that's another reason.
And if there's no sidewalk, what you could do, DPW has this rule of 75%. So, for a good reason. So if you think a sidewalk is needed, those two spots on Park and North Street, you'd really need to lobby the neighbors and get 75% of them. It was successfully done in Old Greenwich recently. Before that, there was several that got stopped because people would come here and say, hey, we talked to our neighbors and they want it, but they hadn't talked to everybody. And the minute it became public, I'm going back 15 years, neighbors would start fighting. And there's still some people that don't like, I think they're great, but some people don't like them. So it's just really not only reaching out to them, but educating them and talking to them, which is what Maggie Bound and Kristen Beecher did over in Old Greenwich. And they would have they did the research, they showed traffic history and accident history, and they had events where they would invite people over there, they invited town officials, and it wasn't smooth sailing, but they got to 75%, and they love it now. But again, you'll get some resistance, probably from some right off the bat, but it's an option. It's an option. Yeah.
Something to pursue then, to get a sidewalk on North Street on the other side, so you'd have a connection.
Yeah.
So would you need the sidewalk on North Street and wrapping around the corner to Park Avenue as well? You'd have to look at it.
We'd have to
Okay.
analyze it.
So that would have to come before the crosswalk could even be considered, is that correct?
Typically, yeah.
Okay. Just so I understand the mechanics, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
So do you want me to talk about Deerfield also?
sure.
Okay, so during Thanksgiving, we had a guest over at our Thanksgiving table who lives on Deerfield. His name is Gene Solkowitz, and he lives at number 72, which is, if you're heading towards the library, it's on the left-hand side, and it's right where those kind of roller coaster dips are in the road. And I asked him how he felt about pedestrian safety on his street. And this is another street where we have the issue of the sidewalk not going all the way. So if you're traveling on Deerfield as a pedestrian and you're on the right side heading towards the hospital away from the library, the sidewalk ends. And there's a little warning sign that tells pedestrians sidewalk ends in 650 feet or something to that effect. So people know that they either have to cross, or they have to, turn around or walk between the ledge and the road. And the reason why there's no sidewalk there, I'm guessing, is because the ledge on the property adjacent to that area, it's like a cliff, and it comes right down into the street. So that's probably why there's no sidewalk there. But what happens is, so the pedestrians have to cross. And that street, I know that there are some crosswalks. There's one right near the circle. So if you're in the traffic circle in front of the hospital, and you're leaving that traffic circle heading towards the library, there is a crosswalk there. And there is a sign that has pedestrian crossing, and there is striping for the crosswalk. And I drove this yesterday around 4 o'clock just to see what it was like as a car vehicle, without, heavy traffic or anything like that. The striping for that crosswalk seems a little pale. It's not very visible, and it's certainly not as visible as some of the other crosswalks in town, which are freshly painted and have big, broad horizontal stripes in addition to the vertical stripes. So that was one observation I made. And another observation I made as I was going about 20 miles an hour down that road is I saw cars coming in from the other direction that were really going at a very good clip. Because I think my impression is people leave the library, it's all straight. It's roller coaster in some parts, but it's pretty straight, and it's downhill when you leave the library. And my impression is that cars tend to leave the library section downhill, and if they're not paying attention, it's very easy to accelerate to 35 or 40 without even trying. Just by inattention, the velocity of your car, there's no traffic in front of you. So people tend to go faster in that area. And I think from the other direction as well, if the traffic is light, it's very tempting for drivers, if there's no one in front of them, to really accelerate beyond the speed limit. And I think that makes crossing that street challenging because people aren't thinking about pedestrians, they're thinking about how fast can I get to Route 1 or the train station. And I think that maybe the issues should be studied or kept at least on people's minds, because it's pretty treacherous if you're trying to cross the street in that area. It's not, you don't feel comfortable. Crossing Greenwich Avenue now is wonderful, because you have the bump outs, you have the signage, you have special crosswalks, and the cars really slow down in all four directions. It's a huge improvement from what it was. And I'm not saying that you need to go as elaborate as that at that particular intersection on Deerfield, but it was very successful on Greenwich Avenue, and something in that direction, I think, would be helpful on Deerfield at some point in the future. Let me see, I think I crossed all of the points. Oh, yes, one other thing is the cars that are driving on Deerfield, particularly heading from the library to the hospital, there's that roller coaster effect that I've mentioned. They don't, when they're going down and they're going up, they don't really see the pedestrians.
Right.
The sight line is not great.
That's what I was going to say, because that's how I go home from Town Hall, because I don't want to make the left near the castle. So I go to the traffic, to the Lake Avenue Circle. Yeah, it is, especially as it gets darker, it's hard to see somebody there.
You can't, if it's pitch dark, if it's after 5, right now, at 5 o'clock, it's pretty dark. And if
And
you're,
you're focused on trying to get into the circle, because it's like, people don't put their blinker on that they're actually coming on Deerfield. Like, are they staying in the circle? Are they not coming in the circle? Can I go?
right, exactly. So if you have, the person coming out not indicating, the person coming up the roller coaster hill, they're not really looking for pedestrians. And if it's dark, they're not going to see them, unless they're dressed in fluorescent and they have flashlights or something to that effect, which of course most people don't do. So I think that issue should definitely be on your radar on Deerfield.
Okay, well, our commissioner's here and he's making notes, so we appreciate that information on that, on Deerfield also. Okay, thank you, Jim. Appreciate you coming down. And Nikki, thank you.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it. Good job. Okay, the last item on our agenda is the announcement of Board of Selectmen liaison / ex officio members for the town boards, commissions, and committees. And I'll quickly go through them. The Active Transportation Task Force, which was our bike task force when we started it in 2019 in December. I will continue on that. Affordable Housing Trust, Lauren will continue on that. Commission on Aging, Rachel's going to take that one over. Central Middle School Building Committee, Lauren will continue. Conservation Commission, little slight change there. That is Rachel, and I'll attend whenever I can, whenever possible, so thank you for catching that, Rachel. EMAC, Energy Management Advisory Committee, Rachel, you just heard Rachel went to her first meeting there today. Flood and Erosion Control Board, I'll continue there. GHS Vestibule, Security Vestibule Building Committee, Lauren will continue on that. Harbor Management, Lauren is going to take that one. Julian Curtis Building Committee, that is Rachel. OG Building Committee, that is Rachel. Riverside Building Committee, that is Lauren. SNAC, Selectmen's Nomination Advisory Committee, that's Lauren. And Sustainability Committee is Lauren. And we also, as I mentioned to people, any of us can attend any of these meetings or join them as, members of the committee, so there's no stopping. And people in the last 6 years often have, joined for, and contributed too, so much appreciated to both of you, taking on lots of work there. So looking forward to a very productive and successful term, and working with our new BET and new BOE, so it should be exciting. Going on to the end of the meeting, appointments and nominations.
Yes, I have 2 nominations. I would like to nominate Stephanie Cowie as a voting member of the Central Middle School Building Committee. Not a specific position and not a specific term ending. When we do that, we usually do what position there'll be and when they end, because there's No determined end. That's why I'm still on GHS, because until we get all the money back from the state, we got a building committee.
Rachel Khan, I second the motion.
All those in favor, Fred Camillo's a yes.
Lauren Raven, yes.
Rachel Khan is a yes.
And I would like to nominate Janet Stone McGuigan as a voting member of the Julian Curtis School Building Committee.
Rachel Khan, I second the motion.
All those in favor, Fred Camillo's a yes.
Lauren Raven, yes.
Rachel Khan is a yes.
Okay, thank you, Lauren, appreciate that. Barbara, thank you. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Lauren Raven, so moved.
Rachel Khan, I second the motion.
All those in favor, Fred Camillo's a yes.
Lauren Raven, yes.
Rachel Khan is a yes.
Thank you, everybody, thank you, Ken. Have a great night, and we'll see some of you later on.